The difficulty in Destiny 2, particularly with this latest expansion, Edge of Fate, it's a little bit prickly. The jump from the easiest difficulty, Brave, to the hardest difficulty, Mythic, is pretty massive. And it's not in the typical way that you would think of just enemies doing more damage to the player. It also reduces the player's durability at the same time. So you can see that minus 50 right there, minus 50 power compared to enemies. No matter how strong you get, you will always be 50 demarcations underneath where the enemy is. Now, Destiny does not progress a character in typical levels. It's based around an average gear score, whatever number the gear is at. It averages all those numbers, and that's your total potential output of damage relative to what the enemies are set to. And it's usually always based upon enemy power or a power cap for the specific activity that you're doing, which I think overcomplicates what should be a pretty simple system of there are 3 kinds of ammo and there are 3 kinds of health bars for enemies. You have primary, special, and power. And then for enemies, you have red, orange, yellow. In trying to detrivialize higher end activities where you're at the sort of the higher end of the player power level, they ended up making enemy health bars too spongy across the board no matter what color the health bar is. The way around this at the higher difficulty levels is just to be playing with 2 other people, the buddy system. Now LFG, crapshoot, sometimes you get people that are, easy to work with, everybody's talking, everybody's having a good time. Sometimes you don't. And that's sort of part of the gamble. Now you can try to get your buddies to play Destiny 2. I mean, I still keep a physical copy around just in case, send these in bulk to my buddies' houses. Maybe they'll pick up on it. It hasn't worked so far, but I'll keep trying. But let me tell you, playing on Mythic, you need some pals along for the ride there. Now I know some of you are gonna be like, oh yeah, I soloed it. Did you have fun shooting the enemies for 10, 15 minutes at a time just to kill one guy? That wasn't enjoyable for me. Playing at minus 50 as a solo player, not a great time. You need those 2 other people who are also at that high enough level to play at minus 50 along with you for the ride so you can output enough damage to clear the screen of enemies. Part of the frustration, I think, just comes from the fact that we do have 3 types of ammo and 3 types of health bars. But at some point in higher level activities where there's a lot of enemies on the screen, using regular primary ammo just becomes a moot exercise. You can't output enough damage fast enough, even though you have unlimited ammo. The damage that you're doing is not enough. On the higher end of the difficulty spectrum, they have increased the health bar number of all enemies, but I don't think that making enemies' health bars bigger should be the primary way of boosting difficulty in a game where loot drops are random. And I wish there was a way to view the actual math equations that go into how enemy scaling works when difficulty is increased across a wide spectrum of first-person shooters, just to see how they compare. Overall, I think that with every expansion, when they introduce new mechanics, some of the higher end content ends up getting overtuned. And over time, it ends up being normalized and it falls in line with what the difficulty curve is probably more intended to feel like. We're starting to see this happen now with Edge of Fate. And as the season goes on, by the time we reach Ash and Iron, I imagine the difficulty curve will feel a lot more natural as you progress through each tier of difficulty. And this is a pattern that if you've played a lot of the expansions in Destiny 2, the difficulty curve maybe sometimes starts a little bit too easy or a little bit too hard. And then by the time we're about ready to move into the next expansion, the difficulty curve is nice and smooth, nice and even. You can kind of predict okay, this is how it ramps up. It's very clear which activities are meant to be done solo or can be done solo and which activities are meant to be done with a group. The faster that the dev team can get to that point, the better the experience will be for the widest number of players. But once they figure out a way to really work through that, and I know that they changed all the math on a lot of the ways that damage is calculated with this recent expansion because of how leveling up has been changed. But once they get to that nice sort of even curve where you can really sort of predict and read okay, this is how this is going to feel, this is how this is going to feel, then the game becomes a lot smoother to play, a lot more fun. And then it also gives the player an easier time of reading which activities can be done solo, which activities can be done with 3 people, and then everyone has a much better time.